Welcome to another episode of the Peak Potential Success Show. My name is Fong. I'm an entrepreneur, business strategist, real estate investor, speaker, and also best-selling author. And every single day, I help others unlock the potentials and guide them to succeed. Today on the show, I have another amazing individual. This is somebody I've seen speak on stage live. I've met him at conferences. I've seen on virtual conferences all the time. And one thing that really sticks out is that he's smiling all the time, which can only mean one thing. He is very much enjoying what he does because he does what he does very, very well. He's been leading businesses for over 40 years now. He's been through all four stages of business. In fact, at a very young age of 25, he was already managing a major food processing company's operation of $80 million. Now, he took that skill set, moved it to a smaller company, and grew those sales from 25 million all the way up to $150 million in sales in 1 year, which is absolutely phenomenal. Today, he helps prepare next generation of leaders. He also handles the high value special projects, and he helps business owners really plan for their exit from day one. So that they could get their optimal value in that project. So please welcome a business strategist, an advisor, and also a real estate investor, Mr. Larry Snyder.
Well, thank you very much, Fong. That's a wonderful introduction. I appreciate that.
Well, thank you very much for being here. I know you have a lot of great value to add, and I was very, very excited to see you and also chat with you. So to start off, would you be able to give us a quick kind of summary of how did you become who you are today? And then also, why are you so passionate about what you do?
Well, two great questions, and I'll start off with the passionate. I think the one is I just love business, and I think I've loved it since I was a young kid. I often joke, but there's a lot of seriousness to it. When I was about 11 or 12, I had a paper route. And that was, in a lot of ways, a small business because you had to execute every day, 7 days a week, up early. Didn't matter if it was cold, raining, whatever. You had to get those papers out, and then you had to go collect the money. You had to work with all the customers, and they had lots of excuses as to why they couldn't pay that time. You wanted to go find other customers. If your family was going on vacation, you had to find somebody to take over the route. So there was all of those different things at 11 or 12. And I think that was just the start, and it's kind of funny because you say, okay, paperboy, but there were those elements behind it. Business is, you're solving problems, you're helping people, you're working with people, you're building teams, and you're providing value. So that it's all fun. Not every day is fun, not every moment's fun. Certainly there's times where you're frustrated and the smile disappears. But over the long run, it's a great journey. And so that's probably why I love business. I love working with people. I love helping people. And then I think your other question was, just what helped me get here.
Yeah. What was that journey? And then when you said your smile goes away, I can't imagine that.
Oh, it does. There are times where it does. Absolutely. The journey, I think, was, you touched on it a lot. I had the chance to work for a food processing company. It was really a cannery. And it was a fairly large company, and I got a chance to get involved while I was still in college. And I worked out in the field, moving trucks around. And believe it or not, when we were at full speed ahead, we had like 700 trucks a day on the road. Wow. And so just coordinating all of that with our processing plants, with our cold storage facilities and everything, working with our marketing group, our finance group, and I got a chance to actually work with the president of the company, the board of the directors, worked on some special projects. So that all, again, with that love of business, it was a great opportunity to learn business, to learn structure, to learn processes, and to learn how to work with people and position things. And so that was a great start. And then, as you mentioned, I was able to take that and go to a smaller company. And the neat thing about a smaller company is now you're involved in so many more things. And, so you got a chance to really get more involved in sales, more involved in marketing, operations, the financial. Later on, as we got bigger, you had to start addressing more HR issues, or what are you doing with your IT system? What about your legal structure? And so you just, every day was a new journey. Every day was a new experience.
So when you said that you've always kind of liked business, was entrepreneurship never a question for you? You've always wanted to, that's the way you were going to go. And you kind of started from ground up and then made sure that that was the direction you're going.
For the most part, yeah. I paused because at one point I thought about going to law school, and long story made short, I didn't, and I'm glad I didn't. And it's nothing against lawyers. I work with lawyers all the time, but I think that this was a much better journey. It allows more creativity, and just a variety of options.
So what was that turning point? So you were at the crossroads. It's like, you know what? I'm already working at this company. I could still choose to become a lawyer, but you know what? I'm going to go with the entrepreneurship.
Yeah, I think. Well, when I'm city born, city raised, and yet I spent 2 summers out in the middle of the Central Valley. In my junior and senior year of college, I spent the summers out in the Central Valley and ag area, and I fell in love with ag. And I realized not only in the growing side of it, but everything that's associated with agriculture, whether it's packaging, trucking, all those different things that tie in with it, that agriculture was just a fascinating industry. And I think, again, with business and then looking at it through the eyes of agriculture, I got absorbed.
No, you talked about in the introduction, you've gone through 4 stages of business. Could you explain exactly what are those 4 stages? And then if somebody was to come to you and go, you know what, I need help on something. And at each stage, what's the key element of each stage that you usually look at?
Sure. Well, the 4 stages, first you're starting the business. So, just getting the momentum, you're solving a problem, you're providing a value to customers with the product, whatever, but you're starting it. Then the second stage is building it. Not building the foundation is really what's going on. How are you going to run it? Because now you're maybe turning it from yourself or you and a couple other people to a bigger operation, even if it's 7 or 10 people, but you're going to want to start building the processes, and you're going to start looking at things probably through functions. So how are we going to ship orders? How are we going to bill? How are we going to collect? What kind of legal structure do we need to have? And so again, you're setting that foundation. And I think one of the things with the foundation, it's kind of like a house. If you build a house and you set the foundation for 1 story, later on, when things have expanded, you say, you know what, the family's gotten bigger, we need a second story. If you didn't build the foundation right, you can't really build that second story. Right. So, same thing here. You want to build a foundation, but you want to build it so that as you grow, you're prepared. So 1 is start, 2 is build the foundation, 3 is the growth. And you hear lots of terms. I'm going to just simply call it growth. Scaling, but you're growing. So now, maybe you're going into new markets, new geographic areas, new products and everything, but you're getting higher and higher sales. And from experience, one of the things I know is it's again, I'll go back to the family. It's kind of like when your children are growing, you as the parent, you realize they're growing, but you're not seeing all of the little things because you're with them every day. And it's the same with the business. It's growing, it's growing, it's growing. And if you don't step back or take a look, all of a sudden your systems, your processes are not going to handle that growth. You're not prepared for it. Maybe you're short on people. Maybe you don't have the right structure. Maybe you need a new IT system. Maybe you're running into too many HR problems. So you've got to deal with all of those as you grow. And then finally, the fourth one is exit. And I'll come back on that in a moment. So we've got start, build the foundation, grow, and then finally exit. And the exit is the exit. But it's really, it could be a couple things. A lot of people think exit means sale, and it certainly can mean a sale, but it can also mean maybe you want to exit the role. I had a chance to meet a young couple that had a good, solid business. They were running it. They had a management team, and they decided they wanted to do something else with their life. They still wanted to own the business. So they made sure the management team was up to speed. They created some incentives for the team. And then this couple physically moved out of the area, went and did something completely new, got out of the area, continued to own the business. The management team took it from 14 million a year in sales to 25 million a year in sales in 2 years.
Oh, wow.
And these folks still own it. And yet the management team's inspired. They're incentivized to make it to make it succeed. So exit can mean different things. Yes, it can mean a sale. It can mean a change of role. And I'll throw in another one. It's if you've got a family business, and there's obviously lots of family businesses, but if you've got a family business, how are you going to handle that transition? Does the next generation want to be involved? Maybe not all of them want to be involved. So what are you going to do between the ones that are involved and the ones that aren't? And so again, you've got to deal with that exit.
Now, in your example for that person who passed it on to somebody else to manage, and they grow up from 14 to 25, it's like, maybe this is going to work. Here, you take care of everything. I'm just going to sit here and let you deal with it.
Yes, exactly. Yep.
Now, when your order was 1, 2, 3, 4, and the last one was exit, but something you say all the time on stages and in your talks is that, well, if you start and grow your business without the end in mind, then your business is running you. So technically, number one should be exit. So can you explain more about that, and how do people go about planning it that way?
Well, it's planning, but I think the key, Fong, the real key is to be prepared. A lot of people say, well, I don't want to exit, or it's 20 years out. All true. Or my children are going to take over. Yeah, maybe they will. But you still want to be prepared, because you don't know what's going to happen. And the difference between being prepared and not being prepared can be millions of dollars. If you're not prepared, if you're in trouble, and I'll give you a great story. Another session, young man, he's talking about his situation, and you can just tell. He's brokenhearted, and he's stressed out, and he's just bewildered. He's not sure where to turn. And the problem was, he worked for a small business that his dad owned. And I specifically say his dad owned it. It wasn't a family business, because dad kept everything really close to the vest, made all the decisions, didn't really tell anybody what was going on, how many of the sales were, what their profits were. He didn't build a team. And now all of a sudden, dad has a health problem. And dad decides to sell the business. And because he's not ready, because he doesn't have a management team and everything, it's almost a fire sale. And so here's the son who's been working there, thinks, maybe that's his future, thinks maybe he's got a chance to own the business at some point. Now, all of a sudden, that's all gone. Not to mention, I should have started here, not to mention, dad's sick, so you don't know when these things are going to come up. So the thing I like to stress is be prepared. And I think there's only positives that come out of being prepared. And it doesn't happen overnight. It could take you years to get ready. A lot of people will say, oh, exit. Well, let's go get an M&A advisor. Let's get an investment banker. Let's go get a business broker. All valuable, all going to be good and going to do a great job for you if you find the right one. I'm actually talking way before that. How do you get prepared? Because again, the difference between being prepared and not being prepared can be millions of dollars. The other one is, you never know when it's going to happen. So whether it's health, death, whether it's somebody comes in and makes an offer, maybe you, like that young couple, maybe you make a decision that you want to go do something else. And if you're prepared, you're in a better position.
Yeah, and something that you mentioned earlier was that exit means many different things. And when people talk to you, you actually bring up so many other avenues as to what exit means. And it gives them more choices as to, oh yeah, I never considered that. And then they could kind of dwell on it a bit more, knowing that it may be years later before they have to make that decision. But at least it's in the back of their mind. You were able to bring a company sales from 25 million all the way up to 150 million. What were some of the things that you've implemented that really became a game changer for that company?
I think a couple of things. We always bend over backwards to take care of our customers. Sometimes, if you look at it just in an isolated event, we hurt ourselves, but we felt we built a reputation. We built that people thought of us and said, these guys are fair. These guys are going to take care of you. And being in the agricultural business, the crops don't wait. So they, if the equipment's broken down or there's a power failure or anything, the crops are still coming. So you've got to work your way through it. You've got to be flexible. You got to be problem solvers. And we were able to do that. So we tried to make it really, really easy for our customers. to not bring problems to them, but to solve their problems. We work to be fair, to have high integrity, and move quick. One customer once told us that we could go in and solve a problem faster than they could talk about it. You know.
So was there a system or something that you changed aside from all the customer appreciation and the customer interaction, all kind of stuff? Was there something within the company itself that you go, you know what, if we just tweak this a little bit, you're going to see a big difference in your sales?
Yeah, I think one thing that sticks out is about 20 years ago, we had several companies. We had a number of companies because we like to do partnerships often with our customers, and we also ended up having about 3 primary companies handling different commodities, handling different geographic areas, and it became a little bit complex internally because as the lines began to get blurred, it wasn't quite clear which company should take something. We all wanted to be fair, and a lot of common ownership amongst the 3, but not identical. Long story made short, I said, why don't we bring these companies together? Let's just merge it. We'll all sit around the same table. We'll have one company, better resources, better diversity, better strength, and then we can go. And there were some issues that we had to work through because, there was different equity holders, there were different people running the different businesses. And so who was going to call the shots going forward, and, who was in charge, and all of those things. It took a while, but we worked our way through it. And once we did come together as one company, we took off. And I think some of it was there was better clarity in the marketplace. There was better clarity with our employees about who we were. We were stronger, and we had the resources to go out and take on certain projects that we might not have had before.
Oh, wow. Now, when it comes to growing companies, I think, and big companies compared to small companies, leadership is very, very important. And you're somebody who's led lots of businesses and has grown many, many businesses as well. Now, when you get into a company and you notice certain things that you want to change or help improve on, that communication is vital, because some of those employees who's been with those companies has been there for a long, long time. And all of a sudden, Mr. Larry here comes in and goes, oh, you have to change this, you have to do this, you have to do that. You might not get that buy-in as easy. So what is it that you do from a leadership perspective, from a communications perspective, that you're able to get that message across to get buy-in from the majority of the people to follow that path?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great question. It's not going to be pure, and it's not always going to work. Some of it is patience, and some of it's perseverance. But I think, you mentioned it earlier, begin with the end in mind. And it's the same when you're looking at some of these changes. You say, look, would everybody agree, maybe this is the situation. Sales are stalled, or the employees are unclear about what their roles are, or, does the owner have a clear vision of where they want the business to be 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, or even 20 years out? What are we doing to move that way? Have we improved processes? So let's use processes for a moment, because that's always fun. But you say you're going to change a process, and people say, no, this is the way we've always done it. And say, okay, great. Part of it could be, how's it working? And it sounds like a smart aleck comment, but it is, but it's also, how is it working? What is it you're trying to achieve? What's your success? How well is it succeeding? What kind of problems are you running across? Is there a better way to do it? And so you start looking at it, and you work your way through it, and maybe together you solve it, where they go, hey, yeah, we could do this. Or a second way to look at it is choices. You say, okay, yeah, we can continue to do it this way. Let's call that A. We can continue to do it, following the known path, the current path. And our success ratio is 65%. But if we go to B, it's going to go up to 80%, and that improves our bottom line by $125,000 a year, or whatever. Or we can go to C, and that's going to cost maybe more of a capital investment, but it'll improve. We'll go up to 90%, and we'll make $300,000 more a year. So what do we think we ought to do? And and you could even take it further. Maybe if there are incentive plans, you say, if we do that, that's $3,000 more a year in everybody's pocket.
did you find that the leadership qualities in order for you to succeed is something that you've kind of naturally developed? Or was there something that you go, I really, really need to work on this aspect to become better?
Um, I I think it's more of the latter. I've always liked to learn. I've always liked to grow, and so whether it's listening to podcasts, whether it's going to to different sessions over the years, and then just maybe even reading podcasts, if I didn't say that. So there's always different ways to learn. There's always different ways to improve. And so, I've always wanted to grab that. I'm thinking my wife has always been really good at giving me ideas and obviously a great sounding board and feedback. But many years ago, she bought me a Tony Robbins cassette tape, and it was Personal Power, and I would listen to that probably every 6 months, and just listen to it and follow the routines and the programs and write the notes and distill. What do you need to improve? The other part of it is I always, for whatever reason, like to break things into threes. So I might take, and I do this every day, what's the top 3 things I want to accomplish today? And, to me, those are those big rocks. Those are the things that you really want to focus on. You really want to drive. And unless something bigger comes up, that's where your focus is going to be. Doesn't mean you only do 3 things, but if you get those done, at least they were the 3 most important. So, I'm striving to do that.
Well, something else that you got into is real estate investing. And I noticed that you're involved with shopping centers, apartments, office complexes, whereas most people go, oh, we're doing residential homes, right? So for you, you jumped into big stuff. Is there a reason why you went, you know what, the big stuff is what I want to do? And what's the difference between those and residential homes?
Sure. And they're all fun, right? But I think I'll say the difference between single family residential and multifamily or commercial apartments. To me, one of the big differences, a couple big differences. One is with multifamily, you've got many, many doors. Whether the complex is 45 doors or 100 doors or even 200 doors, you've got multiple doors. And so you're spreading the risk. If as an example with a single family home, if the air conditioner goes out and it's $7,500, you've got one door to handle that. If your tenant moves out, you've gone from 100% occupancy to 0. Whereas if, let's keep the math easy, if you've got 100 doors and one moves out, you've lost 1%. And you can put it in your numbers for say 5% vacancy. So I think spreading your risk is one. The other one is in the residential space, you're really driven by what people view homes, the value of the home to be. When you move into the commercial space, the multifamily, it's really driven more on what the net operating income is. And there can be a lot of things that play into that. Maybe you increase the occupancy. Maybe you increase the rates. Maybe you make some changes in added value. And so and again, you're able to increase the rates. Maybe the cap rates change, but all of those things play into it. Whereas if you can get the net operating income or NOI up, you have a chance of increasing the value.
Mm-hmm. Now, when it comes to real estate, when it comes to business, I'm sure you faced a lot of different challenges. And you've overcome many, many challenges as well. What would you say is the biggest challenge that you faced, and how did you overcome that one?
Myself. Well, I think a lot of it is having confidence. I think we all doubt ourselves at times, and so sometimes you just got to realize, hey, I think I've thought this through, and I think it makes sense, and let's go do it. Let's take that step, because it's easy to say, I'm not sure, maybe not, type thing. And so sometimes you've got to step out there and say, okay, how do I make that happen? So that I would say that's one. The other is, money. I mean, money can be part of it, because as you're growing, how are you going to find money? I can think back a few years ago when we were really tight on cash, and because we'd grown and we had put money into new assets, new growth, and it was tight. And we were saying, okay, well, how are we going to get past this? How are we going to get to the next hurdle? And then we finally, everything kind of kicked in, and so you work your way through it. You keep a longer term view, and then you work your way through it.
Mhm. Well, it sounds like confidence is something that you've developed very, very strongly. And also you're very, very positive. You have great energy. How do you maintain that? And how do you what's your daily routine to keep that kind of energy going?
Sure. One other, can I go back on the challenges?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
For just a moment? I was just thinking, we had a customer a few years ago that wanted to do more business with us. And so they asked for an early morning meeting. We went down there, our top management team, we went down to meet with them. They once again reiterated that they wanted to do they wanted to do more business with us, but they said, we got a problem. You're not delivering the service that you used to. We're not getting the reports out of you that we were supposed to get. You haven't even billed us. Oh. You're running behind on billings. And they were right. They were absolutely right. And what we knew that they didn't know was they weren't the only customer in that position. And so we went back and, we said, okay, what do we do about this right now? And so we said, look, one of the things is, let's not make this too complex. Let's focus on this customer only. And let's see what we can do to solve them. So how do we make sure we increase the service? What are our service standards? What do we expect? We talked to our service team, said, here's what we need to do. What do we do about getting the reports out? What do we do about getting the billing out? And we kept it simple. We started, implementing new processes that would deliver it for that customer. Once we put them in place, once we were sure that they worked, then we started expanding it. I think my point is, as you're growing, things start to fall apart. You may outgrow a system. You may outgrow your people. You may not have enough people. You may not have the right people. So you've got to step back every once in a while and look at it and say, okay, how do we do it better? How can we deliver service faster? How can we do it cheaper? How can we bring a better customer experience? So it popped into my head, and I wanted to answer that, because I think that's a challenge, is staying up with your growth.
Yeah, for sure. And then back to what's your routine to keep that motivation and that energy?
Yeah, I in some ways I can be a little bit anal. I like to start off I like to start off each week with a plan for that week. And again, I try to pick the top things. Usually I'll pick 3 in each area of my life. But what are the top 3 things I want to do this week? And then every morning I lay out a plan. I'll write down my goals. I'll lay out a plan for, again, the top things that have to be done. Review any meetings that are coming up. Usually I'm reviewing those the day before, make sure I'm ready for them. And then, move through it. But again, I try to focus on importance, the value, and focus on those big 3 points. And again, it doesn't mean you're just getting those 3 done, but those are the top 3, and you really work on it.
Mm-hmm. Now, before I let you go, I got 2 more formal questions for you. First one is, with all the people that you help, all the businesses that you help, is there one very common theme that you find is the issue that they face?
That they fixed?
That they're facing?
Yeah. I think a couple of things. One, you mentioned earlier, day one, and make today day one. Whether you're starting a business today, which not a lot of people, or you have an existing business, today can still be day one. Do a reboot. Just like you refresh your computer, you do a refresh, reboot. Do the same thing. And it's really mindset. And mindsets are powerful. It's how you're looking at things. So go ahead and look at it and say, okay, today's day one. Let's begin with the end in mind. Where do I want to go? What is it I'm wanting to accomplish? Do I think I want to do this for 20 more years, or only 10? Or is it 5 years? How big do I want it to be? Is my management team ready? So you kind of look at it and you say, okay, what is it I want? What is that end in mind? Vision's a big word, but what's the vision? And then from that, you can re-engineer and say, okay, if that's where I want to go, how do I get there? What kind of management team do I need? How many people am I going to need? Am I going to cover different geographic areas? What kind of financial statement do I need to have? What banks should I be working for? Do I need to have different equity partners and things like that? I think the one thing, and you asked, what kind of common response do I get from my clients? And I think it's clarity. I think one of it is just like what we were talking about, the vision, where are you heading, and trying to increase that clarity. The other is, I would have never, ever done this without you, because let's face it, as business owners, as business leaders, you get pulled in every direction all day long. You get to the end of the day and you wonder, what the heck did I accomplish?
Yeah.
And so one of the things, by just knowing that we're going to get together, knowing that we're going to go through some questions, knowing that we're going to maybe address things from a different perspective than the day to day, it does create that focus. It does create that time commitment to say, okay, we're going to get together at this time. I need to have A, B, and C done. And here's where I'm going. So people go, wow, would have never done it without you. I'm heck of a lot more clear. And the progress we're making is amazing.
Awesome. Now, if you were on the world stage and you get an opportunity to share one message, whether it's business, life, whatever it is that it is, what's that one message you want everybody to remember Larry for?
Not the smile. Persist. Don't quit. Just persist. Keep going. Improve. Find ways to improve, and just keep moving forward.
Nice, short and sweet, right to the point. Before I let you go, I do have 5 quick questions for fun. Give me the first thing that comes to mind. All right. First question is: you're stranded on a desert island, and you get to eat one food for the rest of your life with no consequence. What's that one food?
Oh boy. I love food. I mean,
you got lots of choices then.
Yeah, I know. Shrimp stir fries. Because I'm on an island, so shrimp, I'm going to guess, is plentiful, and it's got the vegetables.
Awesome. Second question is: do you have a hidden talent that not many people know about?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm a horrible singer. I can't dance. I can't keep a beat. My family laughs at me all the time. So
then I'll modify that question then. If you got a chance to win an Olympic gold, what sport would that be?
I love baseball and I love hockey. So either one of those two would be great.
Awesome.
One thing that people don't know about me, actually, that I am a licensed pilot. I'm not current, but I'm an instrument rated pilot. And that was a lot of fun. I've always enjoyed flying. As a kid, I just always loved getting on a plane, and I ended up getting my license.
Have you done tricks with the plane yet, or?
No. I've done, I've flown instrument and landed and all that. And that'll get your heart going.
Awesome. Hollywood calls and go, Larry, we want to write a biopic about you. Who would you cast to play you?
I was going to say, I'm just saying this for fun. I'll go with Bruce Willis because we have the same hairdo.
So Bruce Willis shows up at your door and go, hey, I got the part. I need to know more about you. Let's hang out. But first, I'm hungry. What can Larry provide or serve as his specialty to Bruce Willis?
Well, I think I'll go back to vegetables. We'd have a nice salad. We'll probably grill some fresh vegetables. Maybe put a steak on there as well.
Great. And my last question: give me a number between 1 and 2.
1 and 2?
Yeah, pick one.
1.
Number 1. So, how is success similar to wrapping paper?
You need to be creative. You need to have some discipline. So you need to fold the corners right. You need to use the tape and everything. And then you want to put a nice bow on it. You want to make sure that you've got a good presentation. And so there's a lot of mechanics behind it. But at the end, somebody goes, wow, that's beautiful. I really like that. Thank you so much for caring.
Awesome. That is how success is like wrapping paper. Well, thank you very much for your time. I love those stories that you shared. Lots of great insight. Now, if anybody wants to get in touch with you to either have you help them out or know more about you, what's the best way to reach out?
Couple things. I have a website, which is larrysnyder.com, and Larry and then SNYDER. You can send me an email at larry@larrysnyder.com or Instagram, the Larry Snyder.
Awesome. And do you have any final comments that you wanted to share?
Well, this has been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed it. You've asked some great questions, and I've really enjoyed this. So hopefully there's some value for you and also for your audience.
Awesome. I'm sure lots of people enjoyed this too. So that's it. Thank you very much for your time, your stories. I learned a lot. I had a lot of fun as well. And for everybody else, he is Larry. My name is Fong. Until next time, today is the day to lock your peak potential. We'll all see you later.